It all started here in Deraa, southern Syria, on March the 15th, 2011. Inspired by protests rippling through the Arab world, teenagers daubed anti-Assad graffiti on the streets. They were arrested and tortured. At least one was killed. That was the spark that lit the Syrian revolution. Before long, anti-regime protests spread to Homs, Aleppo, and eventually Damascus, the seat of the regime. Months later, the Free Syrian Army was established, and later the formal political opposition. As the violence escalated, the revolution soon morphed into a civil war. Front lines became entrenched and civilians trapped. The government, and to a lesser extent the rebels, encircled, besieged and bombarded neighbourhoods, trying to starve civilians into surrender. By 2013, some 90,000 people had been killed. By 2015, it was 250,000, and the UN officially abandoned trying to count the dead. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights has reported more than 350,000 documented deaths to date, but says the unofficial death toll could be as high as 500,000. The conflict has always been far more than a fight between the regime and rebels. Right from the start, the opposition was deeply factionalized. Islamists opposed to the Western-backed moderate rebels soon started growing in authority. A chemical attack in eastern Ghouta in 2013 looked like it might draw the US in, and for a while Assad's grip on power looked shaky. But the US strike never materialized, and Assad was emboldened. More chemical attacks followed. And then came the intervention of Russia in support of the Assad regime, a decisive moment in the war that saw the government win back the second city of Aleppo. All the while, in eastern Syria, the Islamic State group was growing a sizable fighting force, taking territory and further fracturing the opposition. Syrians fled the country in their millions. As the refugee crisis reached Europe's door, calls grew to end the bloodshed. Faltering UN peace talks produced the odd ceasefire, but no meaningful breakthrough. Meanwhile, Russia, Iran and Turkey launched their own round of talks in Astana and then Sochi, also with limited success. Today, Syria's war is more complex and international than ever. Government forces control 2/3 of the country, with rebels and the Islamic State group still present in a few pockets of land. Kurdish militias, meanwhile, occupy much of the north, but Turkey and allied forces launched an operation to clear them from the region in January. As Syria's war enters its 8th year, Assad's hold on power looks strong. Tens of thousands still live under siege, and more than 9 million people remain displaced.